I'm ready. I'm just going to stay up here. Okay.
Would everybody find a place to sit, please?
To announce the song and verses 1, 3, 5, and 6. Or 1, 3, 4, and 5.
Okay.
If you could do that.
Thank you. Thank you for your presence here this morning. It means a lot to us as we try to come to terms with the loss of Lorraine in her physical form. We know we haven't lost her, that she is as present here with us today as we are. But thank you for being here with us. This is St. James, Midtown, where Marcia and I and numerous friends have attended for the last 14 years or so. There's a restaurant in the back on the north side. And there's another one downstairs that's occupied. Our son Bill will be our presider as we try to honor Lorraine and discover who she was and is. Lori Parker will sing a solo for us. Robert Lasolo, our choir director, and several choir members are with us. The obituary is on the back of the program. The music page numbers are in the program and found in this book. A note about this microphone. Did you just hear me try to talk to you over here? I need to be right here, or I need to move the microphone right in front of me. And so, if some of you forget that, I'm going to raise my hand to remind. Finally, after the service, join us for some informal food and drinks in the back. The opening song, Canticle of the Sun, is number 496, verses 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 3, 4, and 5.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming out today to this memorial. What a great crowd. Lots of support here. We appreciate it very much. Thanks to the choir for your volunteerism for this event. You've started off really well. I said I wasn't going to do that. How's that? Is that better? Okay. So, who was Lorraine Nicely? We know the facts about her obituary: the honorary doctorate degree, the master's degree, Kukui Retreat Center, all those awards, but who was she really? I don't know about you, but I don't feel like I fully know who she was, and I wish I did. I have a love for nature and being outdoors, so why didn't I ask her more about the Kukui Retreat Center and everything that went on there? Those of us here in Kansas City have one view of her through occasional in-person visits and sometimes very lengthy phone calls. And those in Canada, her closest friend, know her another way. I had a conversation with one of her friends, Marie Dion. Marie, if you're listening, hello. Marie was first a nurse and then considered a career change. She took a course in pastoral counseling. Lorraine was her instructor and mentor, then continued to be a mentor through her entire career. Marie said about Lorraine, "It doesn't matter who it is, Lorraine touches people deeply." When I asked her why she thought that was, she says that she doesn't have a superficial cell in her body. Her trust in spirit is so deep, it rubs off on others. She said, "There's an ordinariness about her spirituality. It made it normal." She was also a consummate counselor. Even when the tow truck driver who recently came to her aid when her car broke down after leaving the airport in the rain. Lorraine told us about this occurrence. The two of them had plenty of time to visit in the cab of his truck while they were taking the car to the service station. And Lorraine no doubt added her wise counsel to that conversation. The driver later followed up with her to make sure not only that she got her car fixed at the right place, but also that she made it home safe. Marie said about this incident that the driver contacted her and wanted to know when the memorial service was for Lorraine because he wanted to attend. That's one tow truck driver on a chance occurrence that Lorraine impacted. She didn't say it was a chance occurrence. She said it was divine. It seems to me like it probably was. When Joni and I visited her on Vancouver Island after she broke her leg, we set out to tour the island. And wherever we went, whether it was the natural food store or places where she used to live, like a remote motel, or the home of Peter and Julie where she rented, everyone knew her. Like Joni and I were struck by how many people knew her. Just like the tow truck driver, they had admiration for her that was deep. She touched all of them, sometimes in a way that brought them to tears when they saw her again. As Marie said, she was a consummate counselor. What I was most intrigued with as I was thinking about her life was the reason for the move to Canada. After all, she grew up in Kansas City and spent her early years caring for her siblings. Her brother Raymond died very young, and she experienced her own childhood trauma. Then she served others 27 years as a nun with the Sisters of Charity. During this time, she traveled all across the country, caring for others. Many of them were children, many from indigenous communities as well. All the while, she earned 2 master's degrees, and then came the call to pastoral counseling. This is an occupation that perfectly blended her continuous desire to care for others and a lifetime of deep spirituality. Marie said, back in those days, to be a pastoral counselor in the United States, one had to be an ordained minister. That was not the case in Canada, and thus the reason for the move. We had a related conversation when Joni and I discovered that also back in those days, many religious denominations did not allow women to be ordained ministers. So her calling and her faith were so great that she was willing to move to another country. Her whole life, Lorraine was a trailblazer. She led the way for women in the field, and Marie said, "If Lorraine can do it, then I can too." In 2021, she was awarded an honorary doctorate degree from St. Stephen's College in Edmonton. Here's just a really short excerpt of what Fred Tappan, the principal and dean of Stevens College, had to say about her accomplishments. He said, "Lorraine is honored for her transformative and integrative contributions to the area of counseling, spirituality, integrated psychotherapy, and ecological spirituality. In addition to a graduate degree in theology and one in religious education, Miss Nicely holds a Canadian Association of Spiritual Care certification, or CASC. A CASC certified psycho-spiritual therapist, and is a CASC certified supervisor, educator in the PCE stream, and a diplomate." That was just the beginning of what he had to say about her. And then after all of these accomplishments, she essentially gave it all up, purchased acreage on borrowed money, and started Kukui. Our sister, our aunt, our friend was absolutely a trailblazer. So we know her spirituality was and is immense. In her writing, she spoke of conversations with the Spirit, or Holy Spirit, and those who have passed on, including most notably her cat Katrina. Also, Anna, the grandmother of Jesus. For many of us, this is the part of who Lorraine is that we least understand. I've tried to analyze my own thoughts and feelings around it, and I figured out that it's not the speaking to that gives me a little bit of pause, it's the hearing from. It's the dialogue. But why? Throughout histories, there have been plenty of stories where dialogue happens with God and others. We don't discount the Apostle Paul, Mother Mary, or all the others we have read about in the Bible. During the 14th century, in the middle of the Black Plague, Julian of Norwich was on death's bed and later wrote about her conversation with Jesus and a message of love.
I can't hear you 2 or 3 rows back, so you got to get that right up in front of you.
Should I start over? Thanks, Pops. Julian of Norwich was on death's bed and later wrote about her conversation with Jesus and his message for love everyone, which was novel at the time. What was not novel in the 14th century was this idea that individuals just like you and me could receive messages from God and have a conversation with the Holy Spirit. It is only in recent history, since the industrialization and consumerism, have we forgotten how to communicate with spirits. It's this thin veil between this world and those of the spirit world is the Celtic belief. Or we seek out thin places to find the Spirit. Marg Clark, one of the Sophia sisters in Edmonton, said that Lorraine was living half a life in the spiritual world and half of it in our world. Marie agreed with this and said sometimes it appeared that she was out of touch, but in reality, she was more in touch than everyone else because of her spirituality. This makes sense to me, and it's ironically the one thing about her that I probably want to emulate the most. Maybe we all do. In her most recent visit back home was for her nephew Chuck's funeral. It was important for her to be here, for everyone, but especially for her sister Kathy. Her text message from the airport as she was leaving after that visit was that her visit was really, really good. She was happy to spend quality time with so many of us, and that she hated to leave. Marie agreed with this because Lorraine told her how good the trip was and how much she loved us all. It's probably okay if you tell her that. Now we're going to enjoy a music solo from Lori Parker. We appreciate her being here as well. Morning Has Broken, number 756. That was wonderful, thank you. Now, Sister Kathy is going to come up and read a couple of verses. The first, Matthew 11, and the second from Ecclesiastes 3.
Okay, I'll see if I can get this right. Is it good? Okay. Good morning, everyone. Let me add my thanks to Steve and Bill for everyone attending today. I really appreciate that. I'd like to start with a couple of short scripture readings. The first one's, as Bill said, Matthew chapter 11, verses 28 to 30. Jesus said, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." And from Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 through 8, "There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace." And finally, in the book of daily devotions by Helen Steiner Rice, listed on the day that Lorraine died, it reads, "Happiness is just a state of mind within the reach of everyone who takes the time to be kind." You speak beautifully for who my sister was. She had the ability to connect with everyone and to meet in a loving and caring way. If you knew Lorraine, I think you must have experienced that at some point in the time that you knew her. Over the years, my relationship with Lorraine has developed and changed. When I was 9 years old, she entered the Sisters of Charity of Leavenworth, and I will admit I didn't get it. We would go visit her one Sunday afternoon every month. We sat in a big room with other families, and I was, well, bored, as any 9-year-old would be. After a couple of years, though, she started teaching in schools, and we got to go visit her in the summer. I remember mostly California and Montana. Now that was cool. I liked that. When she left the convent and moved to Canada, I was busy raising kids and working in a law firm, and she was busy going to school and setting up her counseling practice. We did connect when she came home, and long phone conversations. But there was so little time and so many people for her to come to see when she was in Kansas. The best times we had were at Kukui. I think she was the happiest and the most proud of what she accomplished there. There's a book in the back, on the back table, with beautiful pictures of her Kukui, the retreat center. We often came, sometimes with siblings, spouses, and individually. We enjoyed good company and wonderful, healthy food. We had a ritual. On the day we left, we would line up outside with the trees in the background and take a photo to record our trip. Several of those photos are on the back table back there. They're all memories of wonderful times that we had together. There's one thing she did manage to fool me about. Since she knew that I liked to sew and quilt, she would pull out her mending basket whenever I came. It wasn't until the last visit she came to my house that I learned that she was an excellent seamstress. She was in charge of the sewing room when she was a novice, making habits for all the nuns. So funny how she never mentioned that before. Maybe she had gotten tired of making all those black habits and didn't want to do it anymore. Anyway, I think you all know that healthy eating was very important to Lorraine. Organic food, red meat, even sugar was off limits. I used to tease her that she would live to be 100 and certainly outlive me. Didn't work out that way, and we're sorry. The last time she came to visit, I went to visit her in Edmonton. She took me to an ice cream shop. We got a large ice cream cone, and we sat on a bench and ate it. I didn't ask her, why are we eating ice cream? I just thought, we're eating ice cream. Yes. So her last visit to Kansas was in early January for the funeral of my son, Chuck. She wanted to be with us and lend her support in any way she could. Even though she wasn't feeling her best, it was important for her to see all of the cousins and nephews and nieces that she could. I will treasure that time with her and the comfort she brought to us as well. However, I know it won't be our last time together. We will meet again on another level, one day. See you later, Rainey. Love you so much.
Thank you, Kathy. Next, we have niece Susan, who's going to come up and read from a book called The Spirit Wheel. The section is How We Love, and we really like the Spirit Wheel because it is wisdom from Indigenous elders, and we think it's perfectly fitting for Lorraine.
Shook me up a little. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm going to do my best here. I'm not the best at poems, so can you hear me okay? All right. How well we love. Bend your heart towards love as a flower bends to face the sun. When all is said and done, the only true measure of our lives is how well that we loved. How well we gave love, received love, shared love, protected love, created love. Nothing else will matter when our turn comes to make the final journey. Only the love we were will linger. Love will still speak our name in the hearts of those we embraced. We were made to love, you and I, made so by the author of love, made in the image of love to be the love that we are. Thank you.
We have an opportunity to have some stories. Dad, brother Steve, oldest brother, is going to come up and he's going to tell a couple recollections that he has of his big sister. And after that, we conclude, then we will have our closing hymn. And there's also an opportunity for you to come up and share your stories that you may have. And I know for the rest of you who might want to share a story, you have until then to prepare yourself. Pops?
That was the year World War II ended. It was chaotic for our family. Dad was working at his new job in Kansas City. Weeks before, our little brother Raymond died of pneumonia at 18 months old. Then we sold our home in Topeka. And Mom, almost 9 months pregnant, Tom with her. where she had the baby. Lorraine and I spent the summer of Emporia. As the oldest, she looked after us and kept us out of trouble for most of the time. But sometimes